everyone, and welcome to the Pikeville City Managers Report. I'm your host, Jill Fraley Dotson, a time when we sit down and discuss all of the events and things going on in the city of Pikeville with Pikeville City Manager Donovan Blackburn. This will be our first official taping of 2015, so we have a lot to get to. It's been a while since we have discussed a lot of the great things that are happening around our area, and we have 2 pages full of information to inform you about today, update you on some projects, and tell you about a few new things that you may not know about. So Donovan, good day to you.
Well, Happy New Year. It's a little late, but...
Yeah, Happy New Year. It's okay. I think in the month of January, if you just keep it that way, once you get into February, the Happy New Year wears off, but we're still in January.
Well, and it's the first time we've seen each other in a
couple months.
Actually, a couple of months, and congratulations to you.
Thanks,
I'm absolutely delighted and excited.
Many different things have happened in my life
since
we last met.
There has.
And also a lot of things have happened in our fair little city since we last met.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason, just for the viewers, is that we haven't been able to get together, is that you've had some things going on in your personal life. I've had some things, like with the city.
Right.
The election obviously was finally over in November, and then we went into Christmas and New Year and Thanksgiving, and so it's been a crazy time, but extremely busy, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Really excited about where we're heading with the new year. So anyway,
well, let's get right to it. Let's go back a couple months and just update everybody. Of course, everyone knows that we now have Hobby Lobby and Marshalls that are fully open, and we're ready. We're open for the Christmas season. A lot of different things. We broke ground on a Veterans Park that is going to be absolutely gorgeous, and we had the ribbon cutting of the new fire station, which is almost, it's up and running.
Well, it's exciting. I mean, again, those were the end of the year projects, but we were working on them, which was part of the reason why we weren't able to get together. Things were just so busy. But seeing the Hobby Lobby finally open and the Marshalls finally open, and then when you look at the Veterans Park and what it represents, honoring those and the different agencies of the military, is a great project for the commission, something they really wanted to do. So we actually did that project in phases. We're in phase 2 right now, which if you're driving down by the Cedar welcome sign, you'll see the wall actually going up to where you'll have the different divisions of the military displayed along with the flags behind them. And then the intent is to have also an eternal flame on top. The back side of it will actually be a little get-together area. You'll have some picnic tables back there for veterans to go to be able to enjoy the monument, and then to have a peaceful place to just hang out. So it's another great addition to the community, something I know the commission was really eager to get started and to get moving. So at least now it's in its final stages of actually getting to the point of being done. We're excited about it.
It's going to be a beautiful area down there with the fire station and the park right there together. It's just a win-win.
Well, and then also the local veterans group is selling the bricks for these, so you can honor a veteran by purchasing a brick. You can, I think on our Facebook page, tourism Facebook page, is a link to their site. I can't remember their address, or I would tell you. But again, it's a great project. It's a great way to give tribute, but also to memorialize those that gave all for their country. And so I'm really excited about getting that project done. And as you said, the fire department next door is a state-of-the-art facility. We're really excited about it. The location is phenomenal because of its proximity to both the high school, Bob Amos Park, and the quick response to US 23. So, a lot of accidents that have happened over the years being right there where you can actually get on to 23 immediately, and then in conjunction with being up at Bob Amos for the soccer program or track or those programs that typically the kids are involved in, having a quicker response time and easier access is another benefit to the department. So again, another great project. We're real excited to get it completed.
Yeah. Something else that launched was commercial air service. That happened in the last couple of months, and certainly something that's taken off.
It is. It's the end of October 27th, I think, was the launch date. You can go to apair.com and actually purchase your tickets now. As expected, the program is building. They've got still working with TSA. We've had some headway over the last couple of weeks with TSA working out of Frankfurt on the baggage issue. So we're excited to get to hopefully get to that relatively soon. But they're also working on a promotion with the SEC tournament coming up into Nashville. So you'll hear some things out on our local media stations, radio stations, and such, newspaper, talking about this this neat little package that they'll be offering. So it's those type of benefits that will build, and that's part of the subsidy. The reason for the subsidy is to allow the service the opportunity to continue to build. And going into the summer months when most travel takes place, or in the spring, we think it will hopefully build and kick off. So excited again about another great project.
Absolutely. Now, since we were last here, we have gotten a new mayor that has now taken office. So we have a new commissioner that was the former mayor, but that is now a commissioner, and a newcomer to the commission board, which is Josh Huffman. So Jimmy Carter, of course, now the mayor of the city of Pikeville. Of course, we hope to have him on at some point to discuss how things are going so far with him, but a smooth transition.
It is a great transition, and as everybody knows, Mayor Frank Justice, who had been the mayor for over 12 years, he's decided to run for city commission. His with the issues going on with the coal industry right now, that's his part of his business is coal. So a lot of the mining that he's doing is actually outside the area. So it was becoming more and more difficult for him to be in town. And again, under a form of government, as the city manager, the day-to-day activities falls under my umbrella, but there's a lot of contracts and those things that have to be signed pursuant to Kentucky law by actually the mayor. I don't have the authority to do so. So there was a lot of times to where getting towards the last year, especially to where Frankie had to be out of town for his business, and then he would be in either late after closing hours, and it was just too late to sign. So, as always, he put his city before himself and decided to step back out of the mayor's position and run for city council, which paved the way to open the door for Mayor Pro Tem Jimmy Carter to run for mayor. And through the election, he was elected, and this week ago was his first meeting that he presided over, which was exciting for him as the new mayor. And then, of course, Frankie was voted in along with Barry Cheney and Jerry Keith as the existing commission, was reelected to their seats. And then, as you said, newcomer Josh Huffman is now on the commission as well. So we had our first meeting, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, and have another one coming up Monday. A lot of good things that are exciting still around going into the new year. I think the commission was happy to get past the election season and get back to work because of all these many projects that we have and trying to continue to move the city forward. So again, it's exciting times for them and even and for the community and for me.
Yeah, and as always, we do want to mention that the commission is very transparent, and those meetings are open to the public. So anyone who wants to come to those meetings, we certainly invite you to do that.
Well, we encourage people to come out. There's a lot of things that happen in work sessions, and typically our work sessions start at 5 o'clock if we have one. But the commission meeting starts at 6 o'clock. Both are transparent and open to the public. The press is present at every meeting, reports on the significant issues for the meetings. So, we invite you out. We've, as I said, this coming, if I could get my date straight, 26th, I believe, this coming Monday is our commission meeting. We'll have a work session at 5 o'clock. Meeting time will be at 6 o'clock. There's a few things on the agenda that I'm sure that some of the community is interested in. We've got plenty of seating. That's at City Hall, the second floor, and the Main Street, 243 Main Street. Used to be the old Lightyear building in Southeast Telephone before that. So love to have folks come on out and just participate, sit in the meetings with us.
Always very informative. Now, tourism is something that we always hit on really big and devote a lot of time to because we do have so many different tourism opportunities. So let's take a step back and update everybody on our tourism activities. So far, I know we've got Marion Branch, we've got Colmac, we've got bridges underway, and then we've got zip lines and everything else to get to. So,
well, there's tourism. A lot of different things that you put tours. We'll talk about tourism. Let me come back, and then we'll come back to the industrial growth, if that's okay with you, Jill. But the tourism piece is really exciting. It's exciting because, again, you've heard. I know the public's heard me say this before. It's a $12.4 billion industry in the state of Kentucky. And when you look at what's happening with the coal industry, and trying to find ways where you can have somewhat instant gratification to create jobs and opportunity, we turn to tourism as one of those mechanisms to do so. Though we are looking for industrial jobs and other higher paid positions, those things we're still working on. But and that's how they correlate with one another. So when you look at tourism, That's things that we can do because the good Lord's give us a lot of beauty and a lot of things around our community that we can utilize to try to lure the Flatlanders out of maybe the Lexingtons and Cincinnatis and Louisvilles to come to Eastern Kentucky, the Appalachian Mountains, and enjoy the beauty that we have, but also to enjoy the people and all the amenities that we have. So there's a couple of projects going on that we'll talk about at a later date that will kind of highlight looking at bringing from a regional standpoint all those different projects together, because one of the things that I think is important, and I know you can relate to this from a marketing standpoint, is that people can't come and visit what they don't know that you don't have. And if you don't get the word out, then you don't realize all the things that Eastern Kentucky actually has to offer.
Right.
And it is regional because people that travel from one area to the other in a short drive, whether you're going to the Breaks and then to Jenny Wiley, Pikeville in between, you're seeing a lot of different parts of our community, but yet you're spending money throughout the community throughout the region. So tourism is something that's near and dear to a lot of people's heart right now. And we're creating dialogue with other communities to how we can partner and work together. As a matter of fact, today actually yesterday and today, in Frankfort, Sean Cochran, who is my director of operations, who oversees the tourism department for the city. He's in Frankfort with Larry McGoy, who's the director of tourism, and also Sandy Runyon from the Ad District, Cindy Collins from the Expo Center. So there's a few other people down there that they are meeting with the state to look how we can connect our trail systems, because there's the trail system that is actually a certification program through the state. It's very difficult to become a trail town. Elkhorn is starting their process, Pikeville was starting their process, but the thought was if we could link the Elkhorn, the Pikeville, the Prestonsburg, the Paintsville, is that long trail, and we can work together as a region and pull those communities together to share one amenity, but to give, in other words, it's a lot easier to advertise that we have a 60-mile trail system versus a 10-mile trail system. So those are some of the things that we're working on, meeting with Frankfort, the Cabinet for Tourism right now. But there's been a lot of work, as you know, over the last couple of years where we've invested in tourism, and there's a lot of new projects coming forth that we've talked about. Some we've talked about, some we haven't, that's related to tourism. And that's part of our absence over the last couple of months, some of the things that we have been working on. So the first item that I'll mention is with Canoe Kentucky. That was an announcement. It was in the local media. We haven't talked about it in depth, but the city has officially signed a contract back a couple of months ago with Canoe Kentucky. Now, in the past, you've heard me talk about we were working with a company out of North Carolina trying to convince them to come. Because of what they were doing with their investments, they came actually. We went there a couple of times. They came here a couple of times. They gave us some great ideals, but it just didn't work out because they were invested in some other projects and just didn't want to spread themselves too thin at this point. We had a backup option, which we found out after we were talking to them. Not that they would have been our backup; they probably would come to the forefront just because it's a Kentucky-based company. But Canoe Kentucky, which is located in Frankfort, Kentucky, on the Kentucky River. Last year they had close to 30,000 people go through their shop and kayak or canoe on the Kentucky River. So we asked them to come to Eastern Kentucky. They came and looked at our river. They fished it a day. They paddled it and really was amazed with the beauty from that perspective of the river. And then in conjunction with paddling through the cut through, there was a lot of things that they were really excited about. So after negotiating, and that's been our contention all along, is that though we started this program with building the ramps and getting the bus and setting up the kayaks and the canoes, that we're really not the experts in the field. What we really want to do is to bring in people that have expertise, know how to market their product, know what to purchase and what to buy. So that's where Canoe Kentucky came into play. So we're excited that in April of this year, Canoe Kentucky will launch. In conjunction with that, they will also be managing our RV park, because what's going to happen is that as we roll out these different components, more and more people are going to travel both to Pikeville and to another project and relationship from a regional standpoint that we were able to create, and that's with the Breaks Interstate Park. We also signed an interlocal agreement, and I'll tie it back to Canoe, we signed an interlocal agreement with Austin, who's the new director at the Breaks. It's a exciting time for the Breaks because they've got many changes going on there right now, and Austin being the new director, great guy. I've known him for a while. When I've got a little pump camper that's my getaway for a weekend. If I just need to clear my head, is the wife and I will hook it up and usually go to the Breaks. Mm-hmm. So the trail system there is phenomenal. They all their amenities are wonderful. The history of the park is wonderful. So in trying to tie regionally of helping not only Pikeville but Elkhorn, Pikeville, the Breaks, because people traveling through will be able to stop in different locations, was to offer a kind of excursion package for them. So people that are traveling to the Breaks, whether staying in the lodge or staying in the park system, one of the problems that they've had is under Virginia law, if they used to be able to ride go-karts there, or not go-karts, but golf carts there, and Virginia law prohibited that, so they had to give up their golf carts as part of the campground. They had a horse trail there, but they had to give it up because it wasn't as put a financial strain on them. So now that we're heading into that direction with river trails, kayaking, and another project we'll talk about here in just a minute with the zip line, the intent was to sign an interlocal to where we'll rotate traveling with a bus, giving the campers that are there and the people staying in the lodge the opportunity to sign up daily for excursions to come to Pikeville on the weekend. And I said daily. Actually, the intent is to break it out over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're going to the Breaks and you're staying, then you can sign up, and for an X fee, which is what we're working on now, you can do you can do all three events, to where we're going to try to arrange it to where you can do horseback riding, kayaking, and zip lining all in one day. Or we'll have a smaller package where you can come down and do either or. So we got some packages we're working on to try to pull more and more people into our RV park, our hotels, and then also working with them to give them something that they can market because of all the visitors that they have, to market to entice people into their community and into the park. Because when we go back to what we were first originally looking at, which was talking to the outfit in North Carolina, when you go to Gatlinburg and you book a excursion for kayaking, it's a 45-minute drive to actually go to the river, the Little Pigeon River. So this is no different with 119 completion. Again, it'll be about a 20-minute drive from the Breaks to Pikeville. So being able to have that short now distance drive with a bus, to where you can pick up a group of people and give them the opportunity of coming to our community, by which is what our plan was all along. I mean, the intent is that the outtake ramp is down by Texas Roadhouse and the Pikeville Commons. So people coming out of the ramp will have an opportunity to eat, a shopping experience, or whatever. So again, it has an economic advantage for people to stop there at Food City, Walmart, get their groceries to take back to the RV park. Where typically, when I'm traveling, we had to stop ourselves.
Right.
So a lot of different components of this in the sense of tourism and our relationship with the Breaks, which is exciting. On top of that, I know Commissioner Carter has already been talking to some leadership in Prestonsburg about how we may be able to partner. And I've been, not to get too deep into it, but I've been talking to a couple of communities. I actually have a meeting today with another community, again, what we can do to try to work together on a regional plan for tourism. So the other piece of this is, so now what you've got is you've got the Canoe Kentucky, you've got Dream Stables that will open back up in April, and I know we're working right now on another grant. They've got one of the most favorite parts of that attraction up there is the ring, to where kids can get on the pony, do pony rides. So we're actually working on a new grant. Well, actually, I won't say new grant. It was the horse trail grant. We had some dollars left over that we're looking at putting down a floor for those horses, so that, because typically if it rains, you get mud.
Right.
We're looking at putting down this new floor that's specifically designed for that around the horse ring, so that a day after rain, you're not sloshing through the mud puddle. So there's some things that we're tidying up there as well. Last year, towards the end of the year, we opened up at Bob Amos the new walking trails. We worked with the Boy Scouts and the University. And if you haven't been on those paths, my God, it's gorgeous up through there.
I had the opportunity a few weeks ago, one day when it was pretty, actually it was back in November, went up there. It was just before everything had just been marked. I mean, it was all blazed, but the signs hadn't been there yet. And I actually spoke to Sean, had called him up there, and I said, which way do I go, Sean Cochran? And he said, go this way. I could not believe the difference in the trails and all of the different opportunities, whether you're brand new to hiking or walking, or you're a little bit more advanced. There's something there for everybody, but to know that you can do that right in the middle of the city of Pikeville and not feel like you're there, it was really something, and they've done a great job.
Well, and I commend them as well, Jill, because a couple of years ago, my wife and I traveled the cross-country trail that we have up there. It's a 5-mile loop, as you know, and it's breathtaking if you haven't been on that trail as well. I mean, it really is beautiful country, but this is a little different flair because it's narrow. It's not a paved road. It's not a paved sidewalk. You're in the hills. And again, I know most people, if you've been to the breaks or anywhere that you've got a nature hike, that's what it is. So to your point, it's a great way to put it. You don't really realize you're in a downtown community. You get the blessing of being in the hills, the serenity, the peace and quiet, God's natural beauty. I mean, it's just really, really a wonderful experience that I really, we've really enjoyed it. And trying to get past the winter months so that we can get back into, my wife's not a cold walker is what I have to, I can layer up, but
Debbie not so much.
No, Debbie doesn't care as much for it as I do. But so in trying to, as most people do, going through the first of the year, we're back on our trying to get healthy kick, and we're back on our strenuous diet and exercise, and between the historical walking tour downtown, the track up at Bob Amos, the cross country trail, and now the nature trails. There's something for everyone to really get out and enjoy the community with plenty of parking and other amenities around you. So it's a big part of it. So moving forward again, if you're looking at the canoeing again, so you've got Canoe Kentucky, you've got Dream Stables, who not only does the horse riding, the ring, they do the carriage rides, they do the historical downtown rides. Another project that we're working on that will be out by April is we did something a little bit different in that the downtown Half-Pinnacle-McCoy Historical Trail, instead of a bus tour, which is what we were doing, what we're doing is we're taking and creating plaques that will have the barcode on it that with a smartphone you'll be able to light. And I know somebody here close by has a part in that that has volunteered or has agreed to participate.
I've agreed to participate.
So,
but I think it's going to be a lot of fun though too, because a lot of times people can't get their time booked, say on a Saturday or Sunday or even through the week to want to do that. So this is going to provide them another opportunity to go by, you put the barcode on there, and then a video will pop up and tell you exactly where you're at and where you're going to be going and what you're seeing, which I think is a really unique opportunity, and excited to be a part of it, to be honest.
Well, and we appreciate it, as always, Jill, your willingness to participate. But the beauty of it is just as you say, whether you're here at 8 o'clock in the morning or at 11 o'clock at night, you don't have to wait on a bus.
That's right.
You can get your own vehicle, and to your point, it will have directions from point A to point B. All the historical sites are in downtown for the Hatfield-McCoy feud that you would traditionally get with a bus. Now, we are still going to do group tours.
Right.
We're going to do bookings of group tours versus the individual, because what happens is you get somebody who comes in here on a Sunday, but they're not coming in until later in Sunday, and because we're already booked with something else, they don't have the opportunity. So the opportunity is that as you leave, the downtown hotels, for example, you can just stroll down through town, cross over. We last year during the SOAR conference, we built a new sidewalk through the back of the fire station. So now you can cross the street there at the intersection of Huffman and the bypass road and go over to the cemetery. So everything's connected now by sidewalk,
right,
as part of the tour. So you get all the different historical components, whether it be the courthouse or the York House or the hanging site of Cotton Top or the grave site. So it's again another unique twist that is low cost. We don't have the money that we have to, it's the upfront cost of doing the signs, but after that you don't have to pay somebody going around or driving the bus. And then we can take that same bus we were using to devote to a new project that we have that we've talked about in the past, which is the zip lines.
Right. And that is, I was up at Bob Amos the other day and got to see a couple of the different platforms and where everything's going to be. And I think once we've talked about it for a long time and there's been a lot of excitement surrounding it, but when you actually see it start to come together, you get a little bit more anxious for it to open.
Well, I'll tell you, I knew it would be a project that people were excited about. And just to be forthcoming, what our intent is that we're under construction right now. Now, I'm going to back up and say, because a couple of people had some questions about this, let me briefly explain, is that the original intent was to have the zip line open by October. The gentleman that we contracted with, originally what we ended up doing is we went out and searched the states to determine who did this project. We are zip lines and canopy tours. So we had 3 companies that were interested and were very highly recommended. The company that's actually building now was one that actually built the one over in Harlan. And I could tell you several others that he's built. Knows what he's doing, very well respected. But there was 2 other companies that we actually had come into the market and look at it. The cost of the zip line for us to do it was extremely high. It ranged between $500,000 to $900,000 to do what we're talking about up there now. So what we worked out with Robert was, for him, he would actually do it. We would lease him the property, and he would absorb the cost and he would operate it. Well, he had some personal tragedy in his family, and his son was injured he actually was here during the Hatfield-McCoy feud and had to leave on that Monday because he planned on starting construction because his son was in an accident. He had he was hauling his equipment down another time, and his trailer ran off the road, and his trailer turned over and broke. So he just had some issues go on, and because of that, he asked to be. He wasn't able to, because of the timing of other commitments that he had, to be able to do what he needed to do with the contract. So we negotiated a deal with him that he would build the contract and the city would own it and buy it and operate it. So we went from the same exact zip line that was going to cost us $500,000 all the way down to $175,000. So it was a substantial savings. Nobody, I'm sure, has ever put a zip line in this cost effective, but the benefit of it is that we'll own it. So what we're currently working on is 2 options. Either the city will operate it, and we have a plan to do that, but we're not the experts. It goes back to the Canoe Kentucky argument. We're not the experts. So what we are doing right now is we're talking to a couple of companies, and one of them is actually Canoe Kentucky because of ecotourism. They understand the market. They've been out looking at other zipline companies, and we may be contracting with them to manage it, and then we would get a percentage of the profits. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The actual zip line will be completed by the middle of March at the latest. Well, let me restate that. It'll be certified by the middle of March. It'll actually be completed probably within 2 weeks. So within March, and the reason it will be certified in March is because we will hire the staff, and they have to be trained and signed off on it. It takes about a couple of days to do that. So the zip line will be ready to operate by April, and that's our intent, is to open it before Hillbilly Days, to be part of the Hillbilly Days in conjunction with the horseback riding and the canoeing. So Canoe Kentucky, again, the intent is to hopefully operate the RV park, the water trails, and then either them or somebody else or the city will operate the zip line. It'll be operated more than likely. We're looking at 2 different areas. More than likely right now our plan is to operate out of Shelter 2. So if you're going up Bob Amos Park, the first little building on the right-hand side that used to be the old greenhouse is where we'll operate it out of. You'll get on a bus and with your excursion be taken up to, if you're familiar with Bob Amos, to where the hook goes around to the water tank and the lookout, or there's a road that goes to the right that leads up. It has a gate on it. It's a rock road. You go up the rock road, and at the top of the rock road is where the zip line starts. Currently, there is 8 lines, as we promised. There'll be a bridge, as part of a canopy tour, as you mentioned. There's platforms. The zip line company, the guy that's building it, the suspended platforms, which are the ones in the air, he built those. He contracted with a local contractor to build the ones that are on the ground, Keith Crane. So they're working diligently to complete that, and for the price that we got this constructed for, included, again, the lines, the inspections, all the platforms, the bridge, and the certification along with the training. So it was a one package deal, which we're excited about to get operating. Now, when I say, we were excited to be able to add this attraction to the community, but it's obvious that the community is excited about this attraction because as I was coming up here, I looked again, and we post a lot on Facebook, letting people know what's going on in the community on our tourism website, or I'm sorry, on our Facebook page on tourism. And so far, the Pikeville Commons was the biggest hits. A lot of people thumbs upping or reviewing But the zip line beat it by double. Over 90,000 people reached, 377 shares, and close to 600 likes. So over 90,000, close to 90,000 people reached. The closest to that was the Commons, which was 44,000, I think. So people are looking at it, reviewing it, excited, a lot of positive comments on it. Have a lot of people in the community ask me when they can ride it. They want to be the first.
Yeah.
But be patient with us. It will open for the spring, starting in April. So it's another great asset to our arsenal in tourism. And then one last thing that I'll mention briefly is that one of the things that our engineers is working on at the request of the commission is a feasibility study for a bike trail. So again, it's another opportunity. We've got a lot of people in the community that wanted something different to where they could ride a certain path. So some engineering has been working on that for the past couple of months, about 3 or 4 months now. So it's getting close to being finished to where we'll reveal that. And then of course, once you get the study completed, then you start looking for funding. And a lot of times transportation puts out these trail grants. So I think it's something that we'll see hopefully in the next year that we'll be working on as well.
With so much activity going on and so many people using different forms of exercise, it would just make sense for it to do a feasibility study for a bike trail. And I know that a lot of people are very excited about that because you see people that are taking their bikes to other areas of our region to take advantage of their trail system. So why not give them the opportunity here, along with everything else that we're offering now?
Well, you know, if you've been to Abington, the Creeper Trail is a huge hit in Abington, and I know we've talked a lot in the past about Dr. Lyons and Altex investment. We're going to talk a little bit where we're at with that here in a moment. But you know, Dr. Lyons, I talked to him. He called me Saturday. He's actually in Europe for the next couple of weeks, but talked to him Saturday, and he had the opportunity. He came in a week ago this past Thursday, working on a couple of other projects, and he left Pikeville because of the Distillery Brewery and flew actually to Gatlinburg to look at their distilleries and breweries and how they market those. But also his COO had went to Nathan, had went to the Creeper Trail. So, you know, they're excited, and that was his comment to me Saturday, is Donovan, I can see again, Pike will be coming, not a Gatlinburg, more like an Abington, to where you've got the trail systems and all those different components out there. You know, I think there's been some comments in the past to where the city's supposedly stated we want to be like Gatlinburg. We've never said we want to be like Gatlinburg. What we want to be is to have some of the attractions like Gatlinburg, not downtown, but the outlining attraction, but more like what Abington is doing. So you keep your charm, but you create other opportunity. And you know, and if you look, Jill, with what's going to happen with just the zip line, the horse trail, the kayaking. Just in the city alone, it's going to create close to 20 jobs just for those components. You look at what Altec is doing with the distillery and the brewery, that's going to create several additional jobs and will be part of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So that's the vision within the next 18 months, is to tie all these different components together. And we're working, and state tourism sees what we're doing. They're excited about it, so that's why the meeting is taking place today as well, is to kind of see what we can do to kind of really take this momentum and share it regionally, work with other communities, but look at what the state can do to help enhance what Pikeville's doing.
One of the things that we have done, which we referenced earlier in the program, was the opening of Marshalls and Hobby Lobby. Of course, we see how that strip center now is really starting to take off. We see other signs going up. You know, the keys have now been turned over to Ulta, Dress Barn, and Petco. Yep. With Ross and Dress for Less, of course, Rack Room Shoes. Justice Maurice is soon to follow. So let's do a quick update on what we can reveal about that, the success of it, because, and I've told you this before, I think the day that it opened, either the day or the day after, I told you, when you go into one of those places and you live in this area, but you go in there and you don't see one single solitary person that you know, that's a success story.
It has been a huge success. I mean, again, speaking with the management and the developer, their sales have been extremely strong. Again, you look at the license plates in the parking lot, and it's Virginia, it's West Virginia, a lot of other counties. My neighbor is the manager of Texas Roadhouse, and their business is increased. They're really happy with the results, which is, you know, Texas saw the vision of realizing that they could draw on their own, but once the development is made, then they will draw off the other stores from additional shopping as well. So Amy is a couple of managers down there I know very well, but again, Texas has benefited from it. So the facility itself, with what's open, and only a very small portion has opened thus far of the Commons, has been extremely successful. So what's happened now is that they're continually working on the apartments. And let me make this very clear, because I've heard against some rumblings in the community, is that though the city owned the property, and though the commission's intent was clearly to be a development under certain parameters, that's how we sold the property, was you have to meet these parameters. And we worked with the developer diligently on getting the utilities to site through the creation of all these jobs. But the developer owns the property. It's not the city's ability, or was ever our desire, to tell the developer what to do. So I just want to make that first clear. The second component of it is as you look at what the developer's doing with the apartment complex, I think it was last week was the first tenants moved in to the first phase of the apartments. AAA Realty is handling the leasing. I ran into Danny, who used to be with the fire department, but was talking to Danny, ran into him at Walmart, about the first tenants coming in, which we knew that they were coming in. So the tenants are coming in. They've got a list of those that are excited to get into the building. The reason we're still tied to them directly is because of the utility components and helping hook up the water and the sewer and the natural gas. We've got some things that they're mandated to do. For example, the river trails is out back, so we've got a permanent easement for the public to utilize the back of the property to get access to the trails. And then again, this relationship that I was able to create through the direction of commission with Neil Wilson has been excellent and phenomenal. And because of that relationship and all the hard work and the city having the property, it's been a good partnership. But when you look at the right-hand side of the complex, and that's where Hobby Lobby is, and as you just mentioned, there's at least 3 stores that the keys were supposed to be either turned over last week or this week. My understanding is, and I haven't talked to Neil in a couple of weeks, so based on what I was told back then, is that by the end of February, 1st of March, several stores will be opening. And then by the end of March, 1st of April, everything should be open on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side of the strip center, you've got the post office. There's a fence up now. That fence was put up to keep the people from the construction out, so that fence will come down and it will be part of the overall parking lot. There's been some comments that it's really boxy in that area, but that's only because they were trying to protect. It's a building season. So the post office obviously is now open and operating, and the apartments is now done, and they're working currently on the strip center underneath the apartments. I do know they've got a couple of names. Originally they thought they were bringing in that didn't work. They didn't get their contract worked out. But there's some new names that have come in. One that they didn't tell me I couldn't say, so I will. It's my understanding. I think they've signed. If not, they're close to signing, which is Jimmy John's. A lot of people know them, again, from being downstate. Got some excitement of people that enjoy that. And then there's a jewelry store that I know that's coming in. And a couple of other smaller parcels. So, people in conjunction with just all the brand names, you've got some real unique pieces coming over. And then we talked about it before we went on air. It's not directly tied to the Commons yet, but there's a new restaurant that we're working on. I've been working with this gentleman for 3 years now. He is working with not in the Commons, but within an area, another developer in the area, and hopefully being able to locate his restaurant. So that, I think, and I'm hoping that he's very close to making an announcement.
Maybe by the next time that we meet, we'll be able to announce that restaurant, because I know there's going to be a lot of excitement surrounding it. And of course, like you said, it's not tied right to the Commons, but it's in the general area. Yep. So that'll be certainly exciting to be able to let everyone know what that is.
Well, and that's the beauty of this, Jill, is that and what we expected is that once you brought in the national brands, I've been contacted by 3 other developers that have clients that would like to locate in and around the area, and nothing to the magnitude of what Realty Link developed, but some pretty substantial development. So we were able to get involved in that project because the city owned the property. All the surrounding properties that's available, we have the contacts and the names for them, so we're putting them in contact with those property owners. So I think you'll see over the next year some additional announcements being made, some other investments, and this restaurant being one of them. Will be a substantial addition to the community. It's a national brand that everybody realizes. And then on top of that, when we talk about Alltech here in a minute, there's also another opportunity for a restaurant that will be in the market more than likely. So, so from the standpoint of everything that between the strip center and the apartments and the new stores that are opening, that project should be completed out by summer of this year. There's another phase of apartments that actually goes behind Texas Roadhouse that they didn't do yet. So there is another phase of this project that will take place at some point. So the development looks great. The shopping center staying full. The number of jobs that have been created has been phenomenal. So it's been a blessing all the way around, and we're excited that project, because it led with not just that project, but we did the sewer and the water and the upgrade to the Thompson's Road, all those different things that you watched over the last 4 or 5 years develop to get to this point. It's exciting to finally see it come to fruition and open.
It certainly is. You mentioned Alltech earlier. Let's go ahead and touch on some of those things really quickly. I know Dr. Lyons is a regular visitor to our area, and he enjoys that. A lot of people don't know that he's here much more often than what anyone knows. But the distillery, brewery, and some other things that are opening up. Quickly update on where we are with that.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of different things going on with Alltech, and
as always, there's always a lot of different components involved.
Well, and some things I'm able to talk about, some things that they're still working on, and it ties into some other components of this, because let's first talk about, we'll go to the distillery brewery first, and then we'll come back to Marion's Branch and how that, if that's okay with you. So the distillery brewery has been very complex. Like anything that you work on in business, it has been difficult, to say the least. Not that they're not aggressively pursuing, they have been. As you're aware, they own the building. Mm-hmm. What they've been doing for the past several months is that building is actually attached to the theater, because it's the old Dollhair's building that we sold to them, the city, and then the other side is attached to another building. So there's two common walls on both sides of them. And after they sent their engineers in, their engineers not necessarily had concern that it could be done, but wanted to do their due diligence to make sure that it was done right, not to damage either the theater building or the building on the other side of them. So they have literally been in the market, I would say, about 10 to 15 times, their engineers, taking measurements, loads, bearings, looking at different components, putting together a demolition plan. So now that they completed that component of it, they met a week ago this past Thursday with the actual demolition company, because then they had to go out, Alltech did, and search for a demolition company that could do a job of this magnitude. They found one. They met with them a week ago this past Thursday, and they have finally officially hired them. The other components of it was getting all the utilities on hook, because it's a massive building. That's a much larger building than what people would realize. If you look at the flyovers from one side of the street to the other, it's a huge 3-story massive building. So we had to work with AT&T to get through the old Renaissance program. There was something like a breaker box on the front of the building, so AT&T had to reroute their lines. AEP had to come in and bring a full work group in. The day that I watched them do it, there's probably 15 people down there trying to get the power unhooked, because it wasn't just flipping the switch off. You actually had to physically remove it from the building, because it's going to be demoed. And then the other component of it is that the old theater building, the old Dollhair's building, which was tied into the theater building, was both Dollhair's. So the theater and the building we sold to them was the old Dollhair's building. Well, some of the electrical components actually fed both buildings. Mm-hmm. So trying to pull the feeds that only fed the one building and tie them back into the building so that when you cut the power off, you didn't kill the power in the theater, was also a challenge. The next challenge was there were some components that nobody was aware of that linked those two buildings together. There was a couple of openings that had to be sealed. There was a roof hatch that had a stairwell up to it that had to be taken off. So there was a lot of different things that's gone on over the past several months to free and separate those buildings. All that work has been done. The city's water, sewer, natural gas has all been unhooked and disconnected. So as of last week, finally, all the utility components was completed. The week before that, they hired their engineering firm. So now, or demolition firm, I'm sorry. So now the point is for them to set the schedule for them to come in, and we're right in the smack dab middle of the winter months, which has a component of them working on the building. So so all those components, everything's done. They're now ready to start the demoing, which will still probably take several weeks for them to be able to mobilize and to get on site. So we're at least at that point, which I'm very excited to be. So again, Dr. Lyons has been extremely eager. They're excited. They can't wait to get in and start the building process. So we're now finally there. So that's that component of it. The other component that I'll mention is that the original intent, if you may recall, was when they built the distillery, was to have a visitor center as part over in the museum. And then what happened was they bought the second building from the city. It went from a distillery to a distillery brewery as part of the Bourbon Trails, and then we'll have a visitor center actually in the building versus located down the street. So the museum then went from being a visitor center to possibly a restaurant. So that's what Alltech is working on right now, is working with not them, but partnering with a group that will open up a Irish style brew pub. And if Malone's in Lexington, if you've been there, that's kind of an Irish style brew pub, which it is, but more authentic is what the intent is. There is two different interested parties that are from Eastern Kentucky that I'm going down with the end of February. Both of them are going to put on a display with Alltech as up to what their envision is of that building. So what you're going to see is I believe, a great finished product of something new that the community will be proud of, that will be part of the downtown area. So that's another component that I haven't been able to talk about until recently because we were still trying to work out all the details on the museum. So that's kind of where we are with the downtown brewery distillery, the train car, and the museum, because all that ties in together. The Marion's Branch project.
That's a big project. We've since we last met, they awarded and completed the first phase of the Marion's Branch Road. The second phase under construction, completed by June. That's such a large project that there's so much infrastructure that has to go in before the completion and before anything can be put there. But it's certainly going to happen, and it's on its way.
Oh, it's on its way, and it's been one of the bigger projects that I've worked on since I've been here. It's a $15 million project. The other project we're working on in conjunction with Marion's Branch is a new sewer plant. We just hired last month, the company that's actually going to do the membrane system, which was a big part of pushing the sewer plant forward. So they've been hired and they're starting their design. So that's exciting. But the Marion's Branch Road is, of course, a bridge and then the road. And what we've done at this point, as you mentioned, is phase one has been completed. And what phase one, BZAC Construction, was awarded the contract. Both projects were bid out. But phase one was actually constructing a road on top of Marion's Branch. And the reason we had to do that first is because there was some additional work that we had to work with. There's a couple of gas companies that owns gas lines that was part of the road up in the berm as you travel up the road we're going to be using. So we had to work with them on getting that relocated and some components worked out with some contracts with the gas companies. So the thought was not to slow down the project. Let's go ahead and do the first phase at the top of the hill and work our way down. So the first phase is completed. There is a new road on top of Marion's Branch. I get excited every time I drive up there because, as you see, again, Jill, 11 years ago when Frankie and I rode up there to know that it was hills at that time, it wasn't mine. To see now the flat property and an actual road, sewer up there, water up there, is just exciting. So now the second phase, which was awarded, this is a $5.7 million project total, the first phase and the second phase together. The second phase, a little over $3 million, is the road going up to the hill. So that was awarded to BZAC. They were the low bidder again, and that's actually under construction as we speak. I drove up there this weekend, as the property owner, which I shouldn't have done because and I say it jokingly, obviously, because I wanted to see where they were on the phase. But it just in the 2 weeks time that they've been working on it, the whole landscape up there has changed from where they're cutting off the road and working on the roads. It was muddy as all get out. I took my personal truck up, and my wife wouldn't let me in the driveway. I had to go over and spend 2 hours trying to get all the mud off of it. But they're working diligently to get the road done. The road, phase 2 of the road, which will be the access road going up the hill, will be completed by sometime in June, or the first part of June. So, and then we had enough money in the project to where the existing Thompson's Road, I'm sorry, not Thompson's Road, Marys Branch Road, is blacktopped about 3/4 of the road to where you get to the Marys Branch Road. And what we're going to be able to do is to go ahead and do the last section of that, so that if you're coming across Island Creek, everything will be blacktopped going up the hill. So you'll have 2 ways in and out, in other words. So that's under construction. The third piece of this is the actual bridge. That's an $8 million project. The bridge has been awarded. A lot of people knew Kevin Dameron. He's worked for Transportation Cabinet. Kevin is with the company that the engineers he works for. Palmer is actually doing the bridge. So the commission awarded the geotech work that had to be done. You got to do the geo to determine how your footers go in for the pylons of the bridge. So that's under work right now. The design of the bridge is happening right now. And then we lack acquiring one piece of property, which was finally bought last week. And if you're traveling down South Mail Trail and wondering where the bridge is going to come across at, if you're familiar with where Fastenal is on South Mail Trail, it's right beside that. It used to be the old Colmac office building. That property there's been for lease or for sale for some time. The city now owns that property. That's part of that's where the bridge will actually come across at. So everything's working one in conjunction with the other to get this project completed, so that by again June you will have full access to the property going through Island Creek. The bridge itself will probably take another 12 to 14 months to complete because it's a much larger project, but you'll still, those that we have interest in Marys Branch, like Alltech, will have access to it. And then I'm also working with another company right now that I'm hoping to finalize a deal. We're still in discussions that maybe another company that will be locating at Marys Branch as an industrial site. So there's a lot of movement, some things that's going on that will make this exciting, create a lot of new jobs.
A lot of announcements to come in the coming months, and we're certainly excited about those. We're almost out of time, but one of the things I do want us to discuss, the University of Pikeville continues to grow with the announcement of the optometry school coming, and if you drive down Hambly Boulevard, you can see that things are starting to move around. So number one, we want to ask people for their patience because a lot of parking spaces have been taken up with the fencing to allow, number one, for things to be safe there.
Amen.
But a lot of things are starting to move. So update us on where we're at with that, how long we think the project is going to take, and just to let people know when you drive downtown, please be careful.
Well, and that's the point I think that needs to be stressed more than anything is there's a fence up, and that fence will remain up through the construction phase. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be obviously a project that's going to take a while. I don't want to speak on behalf of the university as to what the time frame specifically is. I know what it is, but I don't know if they'll ever move that around, and don't want to put them in a box.
Right.
But what they're doing now is, because I've had a lot of people call and ask what's going on, is the utility relocation. They're taking, if you look on the hillside, you'll see the power and the phone company, the cable company, all working to move the utilities off the hill. We had to revise our utilities as well that was in the hill. So everything's being revised right there to put the utilities off the hill down, because the building itself will be at ground level. To where now you see the rise on the hillside. And if you look over at the Cole building, you'll kind of see the same thing happen, to where it used to sit up on an incline. That hillside will be chipped off, but they can't do that till they relocate their utilities. So there'll be a project start very soon to where they'll be in there drilling and pulling out all that dirt to bring that down to ground level. So we ask people to please be patient. It's a great asset to our community. Having an optometry school that's going to bring in so many new students and so many new jobs is extremely important to not just our area, but all of Kentucky. So a great project. We fully support But those parking places and that fence is going to be up for quite some time.
Yeah, so be careful if you're
Be
traveling
careful.
downtown. If you're going to Roasted or one of the hotels for lunch or for dinner, just be careful in that area. We have a lot of things that are coming up, so let's update everybody on Jenny Wiley Theater, of course, Artist Collaborative Theater. The Expo Center, one of the big things coming up in February, of course, is the SOAR Strategy Summit coming up February 16th, and you can register for that also online, right? soar-kentucky.org.
Just $10 to register. The event's going to be all day. The governor, Brashear, and Congressman Rogers will be there. So shaping our Appalachian region is extremely important to all of Eastern Kentucky. So it's open to anybody that wants to register. So $10, you can come down, spend the day, and find out what's going on with the SOAR program.
These are all events that we're going to mention right now at the Expo Center. Of course, the 20th through the 22nd, the Sport Boat and RV Show brings a lot of people into our area. And one of the things that I do want to mention, our Expo Center is for a lot more than just concerts. And a lot of people tend to forget that. There's something going on there. Cindy Collins has that place packed every single day, seems like. So that's coming up. Ringling Brothers, the circus, coming to town in March. And of course, Casting Crowns just announced their concert coming the 19th of April. And I do want to say, closer to the end of the week or in the next week or so, you will hear the announcement of a Hillbilly Days concert that is coming. Going to be a great, great show, something that we can really be proud of, I think, because it's got ties to our area. That's about all I can say.
There you go.
Artist Collaborative Theater, they have a lot of productions going on too. And if you haven't been there, you need to check out the theater in Elkhorn.
Yeah, I would suggest, I've said this several times, I've got several nieces that are work through the Artist Collaborative Theater, and they've got several productions. I would suggest you get on their website along with Jenny Wiley's website and see all their productions. So there's a lot of things going on in the community between now and April, May, June, July. In conjunction with Hillbilly Days coming up in April 16th, 17th, and 18th. And then that's also when we got their zip line opening too.
Yeah, we got a lot going on in April. And the thing is that we're almost to the end of January now. Hard to believe we're already into this time of the year, but it'll be here before we know it. Going on right now at Jenny Wiley Theater downtown, Pinkalicious, really cute play. And then coming up, William Shakespeare's Hamlet, Still Magnolias, which is going to be a phenomenal show. And then of course, big thing, Muscle on Main starts back in November, or up to November, so.
Yep, through November, and it's exciting. A lot of different events. There's always something going on, both in and around the community. So, come out and support the theater, and both the ACT Theater in Elkhorn City and Jenny Wiley Theater in downtown Pikeville. Some great plays. I'm just telling you, some really good stuff going on in and around the community. We got a lot of talented people in the region.
Don't we though?
It really is.
Really is. Let's give everybody the website that people can go to either book a facility at the park or find out what's going on in the city, because everything is on there, and of course Facebook too.
Well, www.visitpikeville.com or www.cityofpikeville.com. Or actually, it's www.cityofpikeville.gov now, I think, as we've also opened up. So the city actually just launched a new website the 1st of January. We're updating still our tourism website because of all this new stuff coming on. We're trying to find some ways to tie all those programs in together. So have a couple of organizations we're working with on that. Yeah. So Jill, just really exciting time. A lot of things going on. A lot more than what we're able to talk about today because we were our time constraints of the show. But I think people are going to be happy from some of the projects that were happening last year. They're flowing over to this year, and then some new things that we're working on that's really going to continue to move Pikeville and Pike County forward. And I also would say I'd like to congratulate again our new county judge, Bill Deskins. Look forward. Elected to office. My first meeting with him is this coming Monday. Bill and I go way back. Great guy. Looking forward to working with him and looking forward to working together and continuing to move Pikeville, as I said, in Pike County and our region forward. Yeah,
and don't forget, if you want to attend a city commission meeting, those are open and free, and encourage everybody to come and see their local government at work, because it really is a well-oiled machine. So certainly
second and fourth Monday.
Second and fourth Monday, and of course every couple of weeks we'll visit you right back here to let you know everything that's going on in the city of Pikeville. We are out of time, friend.
Sounds good.
We'll meet back in a couple of weeks. This has been the Pikeville City Manager's Report. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.